see how we are dressed, me and you. We have covered our balls, but we are just like goats and dogs. It should be hanging. So this is one of the main reasons. Yes, it should be. Protect and let them be free.
Data has shown that about 3 million babies have been born through the in vitro fertilization process, commonly known as IVF. It is gaining popularity as one of the ways through which people can make babies artificially. What is the process like? What does it take to have an IVF? And which people qualify to have an IVF? Today I'm at the Medifem Multi-Specialist and Fertility Center to find all these answers for you. But before I introduce my guests, let's take a short break. We'll be right back. So you're welcome back from that short break, and I'm here with a principal fertility specialist at the Medifem Multi-Specialist and Fertility Center. His name is Dr. Nana Henaku Labi. Hello, Doc.
Hello.
So
yes.
Today we want to talk about IVF. I know the full name is In Vitro Fertilisation, if I'm right.
Yes.
What is IVF?
IVF, In Vitro Fertilisation. I think before you understand what it really means, you must know what is the normal. And the normal is any couple who want to get a baby, there are certain 4 things which have to be satisfied.
Okay.
Number 1, it's the sperm of the man. 2, the egg of the woman. The egg and the sperm, they meet in the place called the fallopian tube. So egg, sperm, they meet in the tube. That's where fertilization takes place. So in normal settings, normal life, fertilization of a woman's egg is in the fallopian tubes. After the fertilization, the fertilized egg would drop down to settle in the uterus, in the womb. So these are the 4 things which are required for any couple to get a baby: the womb, the sperm, the egg, the fallopian tubes where fertilization takes place. And then it settles in the womb. 4 things, always. But for some reason, you cannot have the fertilization inside the womb of the woman. And fertilizing an egg, or the woman's egg, with the sperm outside the woman's body is in vitro fertilization. And in vitro means outside the body. It's a Greek expression for in glass. So in vitro fertilization simply means fertilizing the egg of the woman or whatever outside her body.
Right. So when are couples supposed to go for an IVF?
Which indirectly means what are the reasons for IVF?
Yeah.
So after an egg is fertilized in vitro, we put the resulting fertilized egg, which is now called embryo, we put it inside the womb and let the thing grow, and eventually the baby is born after 9 months or so. Now, anything which will obstruct you from getting a baby may lead on to getting that fertilized egg outside the woman's body. Anything. And I group them into 4 reasons where how pregnancy takes place. So if there's a problem with the egg, itself, I start with the egg. I start with then followed by the sperm, and then where fertilization takes place, the tube, and then it settles in the womb. So I simply have to go through this for egg production. Sometimes the woman, you do everything, you are able to use, give all those things, you think everything else is normal, but no pregnancy.
Yeah.
So it eventually ends up with us bringing the egg out and fertilizing outside. That's doing the IVF. The next one is the sperm. Assuming everything is normal, and then the sperm is sort of deficient. It's not. If you introduce a sperm through the normal way, they won't be able to reach the egg itself. In that case, even the sperm, defective sperms, we can use the defective sperm in an IVF setup. Normally, you need 500,000 sperms to fertilize one egg in normal life.
Yeah.
But if the sperm is defective, what we do is we take the egg, get the best out of the sperm, which is good, mix them outside. So that becomes an IVF due to low sperm raising. And again, on the other hand, in certain situations, the sperms are so low, it cannot be used even in simple IVF setup. So we have to take one sperm, take one egg, and ourselves inject that sperm into the egg. And the process is called ICSI, intracytoplasmic sperm injection.
Okay, so if there's a case where maybe the sperms are the problem, the woman is okay and everything, they still have to do an IVF to be able to get a baby?
Not necessarily. If all is well with the woman and the sperm cells are not good at all, unfortunately, we have to do an IVF. But if at some stage the sperms are not good, but they are not that bad, we can wash them, sieve them, and do a process called IUI, intrauterine insemination. But even that, it means we are preparing the sperm to inject into the womb for the sperm to go and meet the egg inside the tube. But some are so weak they cannot. Look, you measure sperm quantity in millions. If you do a sperm check, they will tell you the normal is 10 million per mil, or 20 million and above for the whole thing. And then, so you wonder why all these 20 millions, but you need only one sperm. And that is where ICSI comes in, or IUI comes in. But unfortunately, if you do IUI, you don't actually see the problem if it fails, if it doesn't work. You wouldn't know.
Why?
Yeah, but with IVF, you can see fertilization. You can see that there's something going on. Unfortunately, the baby is not well formed, and eventually it may not happen.
So I was asking, what's the chance when I do an IVF that it will be successful? Because it's just like science. Medicine is not always
Exactly.
100%.
It is not exact. You think you are succeeding. At the end of it, the whole world is about 37% chance of getting a success with the first IVF, with a single IVF. The whole world. Not certain places a little bit higher due to maybe superior conditions or techniques or whatever. It's a slightly higher, but it's ours. We are an average of 50 point something. And it fluctuates. It depends on who you are dealing with. An elderly person going through a normal IVF, the chances are not as high compared to a younger person aged in the 20s and things. If other things are okay, but an IVF is required, they have a higher chance of sometimes over 70%, 77% chance of getting pregnant.
Because I was going to ask what age it is best advisable to have an IVF.
The best age to have a baby in any woman is 22. Huh? 22 years is the best age to have a baby. Wow. This thing is stuck in my brain for a long, long time since I was. It's the best age. The younger you are, it's not that good for a young girl of 18, 19 to have a baby. The older you are, then it's going towards, women have an expiry date. From 35 onwards, your fertility potential drops drastically, declines. So if you are 35, so for instance, if you come to me at the age of 28 or 24, 6, and that you have an infertility problem, it will take time to go through. But if you are already 35 plus, we wouldn't give you the normal time that people expect you to get pregnant. No, we'll start investigating immediately. Because as the older you are, the less likely your fertility potential.
That's very interesting. Quite intriguing. 22 years is the best
age for having a baby.
And the longer it takes, the higher your chances.
Yes.
Yes. So, how is the procedure like? Is it painful? Is it stressful?
Okay.
Is it expensive?
Let me start from the bottom. Expensive, yes, it is. But
can you give us
comparatively to other nations, I think we are very cheap in Ghana.
Like how much?
Normally, in the US, for instance, you spend more than $15,000 to go through an IVF procedure. Ghana is roughly about $5,000. Dollars. Max, dollars, roughly. And it depends on various units. There are some units which we all differ a bit, but averagely, in fact, I was estimating, we were much less than the $5,000, but and because the exchange rate, that's a problem. But that's the average cost of. We don't charge in dollars; we charge in cedis.
Okay.
Then, in fact, I was having headache. I was taking paracetamol. I was squeezing my face just to take the tablets. Everything is uncomfortable in medicine, but we try to limit the pain as much as possible. Is it painful? What is IVF? How do we do it? We do that by giving you a series of injections, which takes you about 2 weeks. Every day you have to take that injection. And then once you get to a level where we are putting the baby inside, there are another series of injections until the baby is well established, which takes another month or two. So injections itself in IVF is very, very uncomfortable. People complain a lot that sometimes my buttocks is swollen and that. So that's number one, where you experience pain. Two, when it's time to go and you've produced the eggs, you've got to collect the eggs from the woman, and that is called egg retrieval. That's the second part of IVF. And of course, we use some long needle through the vagina using an ultrasound to prick. So it's not a major operation. It's an uncomfortable situation where you use a needle to go and aspirate all the eggs. And after that, 20, 30 minutes, they are gone. They go home. After that, but the procedure is uncomfortable. So we give you something called conscious sedation. Conscious, you are sort of, but you are fully sedated, no pain, nothing, and it's a very brief period. Normally not more than 20, 30 minutes for the egg collection, depending on the number, some 10. So yes, that bit is a bit uncomfortable. So you feel some pain. Your eggs are fertilized outside, and 5 days later, you have to put the eggs into the womb. And that one, it's ideally it's not painful. It's just like having a normal relation with your husband. You know, you feel something being down there. Minutes, seconds, you push the baby inside.
So how's sperm collection like from the man?
How do we collect the sperm? We don't put needles and things like in the woman, but the main source is from masturbation. Okay. You know what that is?
Yes.
Have you done it before?
I'm not a boy. I'm not a man.
So they masturbate and then see the fluid coming out, and sometimes it's very difficult for the clients, the patients. And I'm sorry, I made a joke with it, but some need their wives to come and help them to do that. We resist resist or whatever you call it from having sex in order to produce the sperm. That you lose a lot, especially the initial sperms, you know. You may lose them, but that's where the concentrated things may be.
Okay.
So having sex to produce sperm, it's you don't advise. On the other hand, there are certain cases where there is no sperm. Normally, we have to dig into the testis area and aspirate some sperms. This is a special condition where there are no sperms even when they make their normal ejaculation, no sperm. So we have to find some sperm around the testis there and aspirate to use it to do the IVF.
Right. Thank you very much. At this point, we'll go for a quick break where we speak to one of the people who have undergone IVF. She'll share her experience with us and how the whole process was for her. When we come back, we'll speak more to Doc. So currently I'm with Akosua. She's had an IVF procedure and she was successful. So she's going to share with us what she went through, how the process was like for her. Hello Akosua, and thank you for speaking to us today. So I just want to know how your IVF process was like.
Oh, by God's grace, I would say mine has been successful all the time. because I think I first came here 2014, and I'm in a distance marriage. So it's like, oh, you are okay, nothing is wrong, so let's give you medication. Then you try your natural cycle. We tried it up till 2017 still. Then the doctor said, then let's go and do IVF. So we've learned a whole lot of stories. When you go do IVF, first time it's not successful. You have to do multiple times, blah blah blah. So it's like I was scared, but I held on to my faith. So with my first attempt, like medication, first they'll give you medication. I think they said my problem was PCOS.
Okay.
PCOS. So they will give you medication to boost the eggs, then the maturity of the eggs, everything becomes successful, then they retrieve the eggs. So after the retrieval of the eggs, they're expecting that within the next 5 days, you'll be fine for them to transfer the embryos. But with my first 5 days, I had something called OHSS. With that one, you bloat, then you vomit, like you cannot even eat. You feel hungry, but you cannot eat. And it's like you are not by yourself. So because of that, I cannot take it on the 5th day. So you have to treat me and wait till the next month. So by God's grace, the next month when I came, they transferred and everything was fine. I think my first pregnancy was triplets, but along the line, it's like 2 couldn't stay and left with 1. And people were saying, hey, IVF, they will stitch your womb, do blah blah blah. But with God's grace, they didn't stitch my womb. Everything was successful. My girl is now 4 years, TikTok girl. And I think later on we said, oh, we want more. So after 2 years, we came back again to do the same thing again. That one too was successful. I had a successful pregnancy. But just that along the line, I had an ovarian cyst which ruptured. So now I couldn't control the pain with the pregnancy. So they have to remove the pregnancy. So with that, everything got a treatment. I have to take time before. Then I came again. So when I came again, it's like that one too. After the retrieval of eggs, because mostly it's like I go for 15 eggs, 17 eggs, but with this one I hated 36 eggs. So that means it wasn't easy. So I bloated. My stomach was like 8 months pregnancy. I was 5 cry. So they have to treat me again. And with that one, I was like always, I think I'm strong. So sometimes I even go home and come back for the treatment, then go back again. So with this one, as soon as I went home, they told me I should stay because I'm not looking well. And as for then, I said I'll go home because mostly when I finish, I drive and go back home. And they said, hey, so is that what you've been doing? It's not good, it's serious. You have to stay. So I didn't stay. I didn't mind them. Then I went to, I fainted. So that means I have to rush back. I said it's my own asordina. But I can say when I came back, the treatment, one thing I like about them is no matter what, they have time, they have patience, they will talk to you well, and they will call you to check on you. Even I can say I have almost all of them, their numbers. My husband too. In case of anything, even in the night, my husband will call them. My wife is not feeling fine. They will call you, come wherever the medication is. They will try and take the medication so you'll become fine. So with that one too, I had to wait again, then come and do the transfer again. And one good thing is mostly the semen they use is not fresh because my husband is not around. So mostly it's stored semen. So just imagine the owner of the hospital will tell you that we are good because imagine the stored semen that we use for it. It's a stored semen, and even after that they have to store the embryos too for like 3-4 months before they transfer. Yeah. With some people, their man will be there, the owner, they take the semen and put it in. But with my, not that way. But at the end of the day, I get successful results. Me, fine, they are doing their job. But I believe in God too. I know without God, nothing can be possible.
So one last thing I want to ask is, how was the journey like emotionally? How were you feeling about it?
It's not easy because last time I told one lady at the front desk, climbing this staircase up there, having hope. What pains me is you have to always come for injections. There is not the medication alone that you take alone. The injections alone you take, especially before they will retrieve the eggs, and after the retrieval and the transfer, you have to take an injection again. That injection, the one giving you the injection is not painful. The injection, a drone, kasana, they give it to you, and after that, you could see say, "Otonya yeah." So me, if somebody is sitting somewhere and especially you come and beat my daughter there, I'll kill you. Yes, because the pain and emotionally alone. Because last year when I miscarried, it's like when I'm walking, I've been crying because after that, you have to also see the doctor, come again for that ovarian cyst that I had because of the PCOS that I have. It's likely that it will come, so it's not their fault. It's normal. The experience emotionally. Just imagine somebody sitting there. The husband is sitting beside her. The lady was crying. When I got there, she was crying. I was certified. I was saying it's painful. And I said, really, it's painful. Go and ask her if it is painful. How many eggs did you get? She would tell you like 10, 15. But me, 37 eggs. Even if it was painful, I didn't cry. Who did I go and cry to? My husband is not here. My mother is not here. So I just keep quiet and lie down and fold my arms. So emotionally, it's not easy.
All right, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. She says the process, even though quite painful, is worth it at the end of the day. Let's go back to Doc and conclude the conversation. Yeah, welcome back. So I'm seated back with Doc. In this part, we're going to talk about some of the controversial things that we've heard people say about IVF. What women who go through IVF are supposed to do, some of the facts, the misconceptions, and all of those things surrounding it. Doc, welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. So,
Thank you.
personally, I've heard people say that when you have an IVF, the likelihood of getting 2 or more babies is very high. I've seen someone who has given birth to 4 quadruplets, and everybody said, well, she did an IVF, and she also confirmed that she did an IVF. So, what's the chance of getting multiple babies from an IVF? And if that is very true, why is it the case?
Yes. Normally, you've stimulated, you get a lot of eggs. You fertilize them. Sometimes you get as much as 10, 15 fertilized eggs, which are called embryos. So, actually, we discuss with the patient, how many do you want to put in? And some of them who have been, yearning for a baby for a long time, they will tell you, doctor, put 5, doctor, put 4. But elsewhere in the US, UK, you are not allowed to put more than 1. Ghana, we don't have a law restricting us.
Okay.
But I'll tell you soon we will have, because we are working on it. The government and then our association together, we are working on a draft to regulate these things. And yes, we put, for us, not more than 3. If anybody even wants 3, they have to take special permission from me before I agree. Otherwise, we normally put 1, 2, and yes, sometimes 3. It depends on the way we see your fertility potential. In a young woman, everything seems to be okay. Maybe due to something, the male side, or we try to limit as many as we can. You put 3, you may develop all 3. And that you have the triplets. Some they insist, they really give us tough time. They want, and even for that we make them sign. They want 4. You put it and they would develop quadruplets. But to be honest, with our standard, we find it a failure if somebody has more than 2. You failed. Because 3, 4, you see it you hear it in the news and all that. Really, it's not right. Because the amount of torture the woman goes through to carry these 4 babies is no joke. And why they normally end up having miscarriages. So the higher the order of pregnancy is, the more likely you develop a miscarriage. There are situations where some women themselves, from their family background and all that, they can't develop the higher order multiple babies, and that is not very common.
That is to mean that maybe just one egg was put there, but they may be able to develop twins from that.
That twinning from the one egg is commoner and is more, it depends more on the genetics of the, you have a person from a twinning family, it can't easily happen.
Right. So now let's talk about the do's and don'ts. When you are about to get an IVF, what should you do? What should you not do? Your lifestyle.
It's why are you going for the IVF? Whatever is preventing you from getting pregnant, if it's preventable, you should try to avoid it. Smoking, you drinking so much, even your husband always, drinking so much. And this is part of the process of not getting pregnant. Food-wise, there are several conditions which is related to diabetes, for you to have poor egg production. In that case, you have to try and, with the advice of the doctor, to try and sort of manage that situation where your egg production can be. It's a very popular situation called polycystic ovaries syndrome, PCOS they call it. And then in that case, you have to watch what you eat, so as to, limit whatever. Men, usually, when they have poor, low sperm, we encourage them to take honey. And look, see how we are dressed, me and you. We have covered our balls, but we are just like goats and dogs. It should be hiding. So this is one of the main reasons. Yes, it should be. Protect and let them be free. Then pregnancy will take place. So avoiding, the root of the pregnancy, non-pregnancy causes could help in the situation. IVF is as simple as that. We promote eggs. So even if your eggs you can't promote it because of some of the conditions I've mentioned, we are not going to succeed, because even though we are doing it, the eggs won't come. Yes, we do get situations where no eggs are produced, and we have to cancel the whole cycle. And so anything which will make you, your initial doctors will tell you regarding do this or that to promote fertility. It's sort of required in general. There are no specific requirement that I'm going for IVF, therefore I should not drink tea, I should not drink coffee, and that sort of thing. I heard them talking about it, but
It's not true. Okay, so can you
there is
also...
no medical basis of it. It's just like the normal care pregnancy thing.
Okay, so can you choose the gender of your child?
Yes, it's possible, but unfortunately we don't do it in Ghana yet. I heard some of our colleagues, they've been trying. We call it pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. It means before the egg gets stuck in there, we manage to bring some out. You take a cell out of the developing embryo and study it for whatever you want to. Apart from sex typing, there are some medical conditions where you can diagnose this before the newly made embryo gets implanted. So they take them to the lab, remove one cell from the growing embryo, and test it. Sorry. Unfortunately, sex typing, it's supposed to be common, especially with the Nigerians, but it's a very expensive way of going through doing what I just described, PGDs.
Finally, I want to know some of the lifestyle choices that young people can adopt to reduce infertility rates, because sometimes our lifestyles also put us at risk of not being able to produce
Very much.
both in men and women. So before you even get to the point where you need an artificial help to be able to produce, what can you do as an individual to be able to increase
Yes, you learned something from me. I said the best age to have a baby is.
Yes.
So
22.
that's number one. You don't wait and keep it when you are 38, 40, then you come for a baby. And seriously, it seems the infertility has gone up, infertility problem. It's mainly due to the woman's aim to have her own career, and therefore a delay. You are postponing your fertility, and it's not only fertility issues. I'm sure you've heard about something called fibroids.
Yes.
You've heard about endometriosis.
Yes.
These are all something to do with not the uterus or the system not having a baby. So fibroids take over, endometriosis take over. My mother had me when she was 46 years. Can you imagine? At that time, as if there are no endometriosis and no fibroids. Why? And after me, 46, there were three, a twin and a terrier. That was my mother. Now, from the little you have gotten from me, how did it occur? How 46 she was still having a baby? Because she started very early and continued every 2 years, like that.
So the spacing to is a factor.
I mean, we're talking of the scientific aspect of it. I'm not trying to be controversial, but it's a fact that as you delay your fertility thing, these diseases are mentioned, fibroid, and they take over because of what we call estrogens, which come up and they stimulate the growth of the fibroids very much, stimulate. And then at the end of it, you are struggling. Every year, every woman was born with a number of fixed eggs. Listen to this portion. At birth, you have about 1 million to 2 million eggs in you as a baby. Then, as you grow, 10, 12, 11, you have your first menstruation. That is called menarche. You have lost about 30% of your endowed eggs. And every month that you menstruate, about 40 to 50 eggs come up for only one to stick its neck out. It will also answer you, are there problems with IVF because you are producing more eggs? Is she going to be able to, the eggs that you lose during IVF or you make, you would have lost them anyway in a normal brush-up. So yes, age at which you have your family is very important. Younger girls, you should be very careful. You should be very careful not to have your tubes damaged from miscarriages, abortions, and things like that. That's very important for the younger ones. Inordinate sex, infections down there, tubal damage, eventually no baby. If, for both sides, male and females, if you had any issues about fertility, don't waste too much time. You go and see the doctor. They will assess you. And the other thing is men, they usually blame women for whatever their problems are, but they are equally culpable. But 40% of infertility is due to men.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nana Henaku Labi. He is Principal Fertility Specialist at the Akosua Fertility Center, subsidiary of Medifair Multi-Specialist and Fertility Center. And he has been speaking to us about IVF, the procedure, the do's and don'ts, and things that as young people we can do to enhance our chances of fertility. My name is Stella J. Jomsugli.